obvious question could be is, how is this to begin? That's the most obvious and most relevant context that people could possibly be exploring at this time. But what if we were to set that aside and rather explore the context of who we are? It's again to be equally realized and understood and recognized that we are able to describe ourselves and perceive ourselves, and we may even come to expect of who we might be from the vast yet limited amounts of knowledge that we have come to acknowledge from a vast yet limited state of existence. Again, we will be born and we will come to die, and during that period, we will be left with a descriptive sense of how to describe ourselves, how to describe others, how to describe other existing beings, other objects, and even moments. But if we were to reflect on the context of a moment, again, the context of a moment is a memory. A memory is mere, again, an acknowledgement of something that has already occurred. This is a descriptive sense that gives us a patrol of the past. This is a reflection of the past, but yet a limited reflection in comparison with what we truly come to experience during that time. So even if we were to reflect on an expectable moment, again, we may expect certain things from a moment, but again, all of it has been inspired and influenced from previous knowledge that we've come to acknowledge. So if we were to explore unknown knowledge, in relevant context, unknown knowledge is infinite knowledge. This is knowledge that we are not yet able to describe or perceive or even come to expect because it is simply just unknown to us, whereby people could be telling us an experience on what's happening on one side of the world while we're living on the other side. And again, because we're not experiencing it, we seemingly may have a, a recognition or a realization of a limited sense of what they might be experiencing, but not an infinite sense of what they may be experiencing, even if they may be describing it in a full detail. What they will be experiencing is an emotional sense of an experience, whereby this is an infinite state. This is knowledge that we are unable to describe, unable to perceive, even from a vast yet limited perspective. To cram an infinite source of knowledge and to try and to distinguish it from a limited capacity is possibly, that is like shoving a flour bag through a sieve, and hopefully that you will be able to sieve it all at the same time. It's just not realistic. So whereby if we were to acknowledge that there is a acknowledged sense of knowledge and an infinite source of knowledge, this could be reflected on the descriptive sense with the distinguished sense of the infinite state of truth, whereby the infinite state of truth has been distinguished as everything that every perspective state of thought consciousness is able to describe, perceive, and expect from the vast yet limited amount of knowledge that it has come to acknowledge. Again, if we were to reflect on upon a million individuals just merely existing on this planet, this could be seen as a reflected source of an infinite state of knowledge, whereby every person will be able to describe a certain moment in their own specific manner. But if we were to explore the context, if they had to explore the context of, let's say, describing a moment being peaceful, deepening that exploration, the terminology of peace will be again dissected into stillness, calmness, nothingness, emptiness, a whole variety of different descriptions, whereby this is again reflected on the infinite source of knowledge. So if we were to acknowledge the infinite source of knowledge within existence, or within an existing state, we have to reflect on the context of the state of origination. This knowledge has come to, or this state of truth, or infinite state of truth has come to originate from a specific source, whereby this could easily be reflected again on the state of origination. So if we were to explore the context of the states of origination. I mean, again, we are able to describe, perceive, and expect of what it might be. I mean, we have versions of heaven and hell, and each person has a different version or a different description or a different perception or expectation. But again, in a limited sense of how heaven or hell could possibly be perceived or distinguished. But again, this is all again within a limited state. If we were to reflect on the infinite state, whereby it's every possible description, every possible positive description. I mean, this is the infinite state of truth, or the infinite state of yeah, the infinite state of truth within the infinite state of origination, whereby if the infinite state of origination is also being perceived as peace or happiness or possibilities or love, again, every person is able to describe this sensing emotion or emotional experience from a vast yet limited state of knowledge that they have come to be aware of, in comparison with the infinite knowledge that they came to experience during that time. So again, reflecting on that context, if I were to reflect on the context of change, I mean, every person is able to describe change again within a limited capacity. Every person is able to perceive change within a limited capacity, even expect change within a limited capacity. But again, if we were to reflect on the infinite source of change, I mean, change is without a description. Change could be reflected as an infinite state. I mean, it's inevitable, regardless of what. I mean, no day is to be experienced the same. No moment is to be experienced the same. No conversation is to be experienced the exact same. So change is, again, inevitable, and it's an infinite state, whereby we have come to originate from this divine source of origination, which is in context undescribable, unperceivable, unexpectable, and infinite within itself, and has come to exist with all these infinite states. We in itself have also come to exist within this, with change within us. I mean, change. I mean, if we had to reflect on the power of love, I mean, the power of love is the ultimate source of change. I mean, but through creativity, this is how change comes to life. I mean, change is always seen as a snapshot, but it's not seen as, it should never be seen as a snapshot, whereby if we were to reflect on how a seed comes to grow from a plant, from a seed into a plant, I mean, this is a process. This is a lengthy process, but it's a due coursing process that needs to be experienced, and people should venture the experience of this unknown knowledge, because in venturing this unknown knowledge, we may come to discover more of ourselves and more of others and more of all other existing lives. So, reflecting on the context, if we were to explore the state of reality, again, everything is within a descriptible sense of the knowledge that we've come to again acknowledge from this vast yet limited state of existence. But again, reality is to be described as with certain descriptions. I mean, love comes with a description, possibilities comes with this description, and happiness comes with a description, and truth comes with a description, and peace comes with a description. But within it being within a description, we have to understand that it is within a limitation. So again, if we were to survive within this state of a description, it would be acknowledging that it would be a state of survival, whereby it would be merely just living from you were born until when you were passed, and within all these certain limited descriptions, whereby, again, if we were to explore the context of the state of origination and how we've come to exist, and how this is within existence within ourselves, I mean, to explore our emotions, to explore the infinite states of possibilities, to experience the infinite states of love, to experience the infinite states of peace, to experience, I mean, these are all the sense that will initially create an initial sense of freedom, and freedom within an oneself is infinite. I mean, freedom holds no description. No group can possibly describe freedom, because freedom within itself is without a description. I mean, freedom within itself being locked in a description wouldn't necessarily be setting the initial meaning of freedom free, if that is within equal understanding.